Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. First, we're going to have the McAllen Police Department Honor Guard posting the colors.
Raise it. Arms.
At this time, we would have Veronica May Frias from our McAllen Memorial High School. She will be singing our national anthem. Victoria, I apologize.
Oh, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Arms.
At this time, I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. I'd like to invite Lieutenant Javier Alanis to approach and give us our invocation for the day.
Let us bow our heads. O God, our hope and refuge in our distress will come quickly to you. Shock and horror of that tragic day have subsided, replaced now with an emptiness, a longing for an innocent lost. We come remembering those who lost their lives in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. We are mindful of the sacrifice of public servants who demonstrated the greatest love of all by laying down their lives for friends and people unknown. We commit their souls to your eternal care and celebrate their gifts to a fallen humanity. We come remembering and we come in hope, not in ourselves, but in you. As foundations we once thought secured have been shaken, we are reminded of the illusion of security. In commemorating this tragedy, we give you thanks for your presence in our time of need, and we seek your worship in your spirit and in truth, our guide and our guardian. Amen.
Please have a seat. At this time, I'd like to introduce our special guest that we have with us here today. We have Commissioner Richard Cortez from the McAllen City Commission. We have our City Manager, Roy Rodriguez. We have Assistant City Manager, Jeff Johnson. We have Assistant City Manager, Michelle Leftwich. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Rodriguez to the podium for the official welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. It's a beautiful day today, as September 11th always is. You know, every year we probably all gather, whether it's in a formal setting as this or an informal one, and we ask one another, you know, what were you doing and where were you? It's one of those days where you'll never forget exactly where you were and what you were doing. You know, for me, I was at Harlins and City Hall, and walking out of a meeting as I, you know, watched in horror as to what was happening right before our eyes. And to this day, I remember that feeling of uncertainty and disbelief as I watched the screen there. And it certainly has been a day to be somber and to be of a heavy heart for all that was lost that day. But also, it's been a day of celebration. You know, if you recall, right after the event, there probably has not been a time where our country has been as united as we were then. I was thinking about that yesterday when we were doing the stair climb, how beautiful and how great one felt about being an American. And so I try to hold on to that feeling, and hopefully we all hope that someday we will go back to that kind of unity in our country. For now, we can give thanks for all those who put their lives on the line every day, like they did, and hope that our world will see peace where those kinds of fears are no longer necessary. So we thank you on behalf of the mayor of the city of McAllen, Jim Darling, former Mayor Richard Cortez, and the rest of the city commission for being here. It is a special day. Let's choose to make it a day for us to continue to make our country better. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. On behalf of the McAllen Fire Department, I'd like to thank you all for coming out today. This has been the 16th year since 9/11 occurred, and I've always, every year, commemorated it, remembered it, but this year was very different for me. I have two daughters, and this is the first year I've had to explain that to them, what happened. And it brought it all back. And it's hard for me, excuse me. 16 years ago this morning in New York City at 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 struck the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed in approximately 10 seconds. At 10:03 a.m., United Flight 93 crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower collapses. In all, 2,753 people were killed in New York City, to include 343 firefighters, 23 New York police officers, 37 Port Authority officers, and 8 EMS personnel. 184 people died in the attack on the Pentagon. 40 passengers and crew were killed aboard Flight 93 that went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The world changed that day, and we shall never forget. Going forward, let us not forget. Let us teach our children what it was that happened that day. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite the McAllen Police Chief, Victor Rodriguez, to the podium.
Commissioner, Mayor Cortez, City Manager, and to all the guests here today on behalf of the City of McAllen. And on behalf of the McAllen Police Department, we thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning and to be part of this very solemn ceremony. This is a solemn day. Our memories of the events of 16 years ago will always live in our minds. For many Americans, these memories are imprinted in us. We vividly remember that beautiful morning shattered by terror. In an instant, we knew that our lives, as we knew them in America, had changed. We knew that on that day, war and terror had come to America. Death and violence was inflicted on innocent men and women. These acts of terror were evil at the core. Some of us cried. Some of us felt fear. Some of us got angry. All of us felt betrayed. And all of us felt violated. But all of us awoke. Immediately following the attack, police officers and firefighters and first responders rose. They rose to the call of duty. They left their duty stations. They left their homes. Many of them never returned. Among them, 343 firefighters and 72 police officers. These police officers and firefighters and first responders were, and it's important to say that they are our family. It's very easy to put them in the past tense context, but they are today the reason we are here. They are family to many of us. They are family to their own. They responded to a call for service that day. That was the last call they answered. On that day, these police officers and these firefighters and these first responders went out to save lives. Instead, they lost their own. We reflect because we remember, and we remember because we cannot forget. In fact, we promised them, and we promised this country, and we promised Americans across that we would never forget that day. To all of you that have fought this battle, at home or abroad, to all our police officers, our firefighters, and our first responders, on this day and on every day, but especially today, we say thank you. We say thank you very, very much. We are thankful to you. We owe a debt of gratitude that we in this country cannot repay. We honor you. We honor your dedication. We honor your bravery. We honor your perseverance, and we honor your unselfish devotion to the protection of life. That wake-up call 16 years ago woke you up, woke us up, woke them up. We are one. We are one in America, and in God we trust. May God bless you always, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Rodriguez. At this time, I'd like to invite the McAllen Fire Department Honor Guard to have our bell ceremony. This is Mark Zamora, the commander of our Honor Guard.
Thank you, Chief. The tradition of the bell. The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are confronted with we are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but our goals remain the same as they were in the past: to save lives and protect property. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is steeped in tradition 200 years old. One such tradition is the sound of the bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizen. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled the completion of that call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We utilize these traditions, which reflect honor and respect to those who have given so much and who have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had to their duty, a special signal of 3 rings, 3 times, represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow man, their tasks completed, their duties well done, to our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home. All uniformed personnel, ditch, hut! Freeze it! Arms! Order, arms!
Thank you, Mark. At this time, this is the conclusion of our ceremony. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out today and helping us remember what happened 16 years ago. I know it's hot this morning, and we do have some ice cold drinks over here in the tub if y'all would like. Again, thank y'all so much for coming out.